Hi, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Barely Bookish. We are once again reading Pride and Prejudice, and I am joined by the lovely Amanda Faye. She's not here for this little intro, but I'm sure she's just excited as I am to get into this. If this is your very first episode of Barely Bookish, welcome. Hi, how are you? Please enjoy. But I just want you all to know that these are spoiler inclusive, so if you have not read Pride and Prejudice, please be sure to do that first and then come back to our episodes. But they are a lot of fun. I hope you really enjoy them. Also, if you are sort of getting down with the quarantine blues and you want to join a virtual book club, I host one. We are currently reading A Song of Wraiths and Ruin. Just go to barelybookish.com/connect and you can get the Discord link and join us for that wonderful reading. We do pick new books all the time, so there's always something that we're reading, always something new to read, and I really hope you'll enjoy it. But without further ado, let's get into this episode of Barely Bookish. So, chapter 38, Collins continuously toots his own horn for a minute about knowing Catherine again. And then Elizabeth and Marie, Charlotte's sister, are going to stay with Jane at Elizabeth's aunt's and uncle's house for a little bit. So, chapter 39, Elizabeth and Jane are back home again. They kind of had like a quick turnaround. And Wickham is going to go marry Mary King. And is not going to anymore because she went away to her uncle in Liverpool. That was like a short thing anyways.
Yeah.
So chapter 40, Elizabeth fills Jane in on everything that happened with Mr. Darcy. Elizabeth is trying to figure out if she should reveal the truth about Mr. Darcy. And then she kind of ends up telling Jane, but they decided not to tell the entire family, but she doesn't tell Jane about Bingley. She just doesn't want to bring it back up again. And then while Elizabeth is home, she can also see how much Jane cares about Bingley, which makes me so sad. Like, in this part. Because I'm like, oh, no, they have love. They should be together.
It is sad.
Yeah, that part hurt me. That hurt me. So, chapter 41. Lydia is going to Brighton after the soldiers and staying with a friend to try and catch a husband, which is the beginning of the downward spiral. Elizabeth is trying to get her father to check Lydia so that she doesn't embarrass them all. And the family went out to dinner with some of the soldiers. Elizabeth tells Wickham that she actually saw Darcy and the Colonel, and it makes Wickham super uncomfortable.
Oh, yeah. He's like squirming in his seat. He's like,
Well, yeah. So, chapter 42, Lydia has officially gone after the officers and is staying with a family friend, but her letters are leaving much to be desired. She basically is just saying, like, okay, sure, yep, having fun, definitely safe, and that's about it.
Well, she's not the brightest crayon in the box, so I bet writing is painful for her.
And she'd much rather be, like, going out with boys than actually writing home to her family.
Yep.
Elizabeth's trip with her aunt and uncle is now going to be a bit shorter, and they won't make it to the lakes, which Elizabeth is really disappointed about. Elizabeth's aunt and uncle arrive and drop their kids off to be watched by Jane. So they're traveling, and they're at Pemberley, which is where Darcy grew up. And in this moment, I was like, oh, I think he still owns it. And Elizabeth is nervous that she'll run into him. Bum, bum, bum.
Bum, bum, bum.
So Elizabeth hears that they're not going to be home for the summer, so she relaxes and ends up going. So chapter 43. Elizabeth kind of loves the natural beauty of Pemberley, and she's really enjoying it. And she's like, ooh, maybe I should have married that guy, because like this is a really nice house.
And you can tell how much care they put into it.
Mm-hmm. Because it's not just a nice house. It's like they actually enjoy it and care for it, which I love.
And the outside too. She just, you know how much she loves to be outside, and the outside is just beautiful.
Yeah. I just, when they showed the house on like the 2005 remake, I was like, oh my gosh. Like, yeah, I would also marry someone who's not that great of a person for that house. So, like, I get it. And then I thought it was kind of weird that they were even able to get into this house. Like, I didn't, is that something that people did if they were rich, is like visit their house even when they aren't there?
Yep. They, most of the times they have the public wing and the private wing.
Okay.
So people weren't allowed to go to the private wings of the house, obviously, because that's where the actual people lived. But the public wings it was expected that if you owned a great house, that's why it was called a great house. You know, it was meant to be on display. So it was expected that if you owned one of these types of properties and you wanted to show it off, I mean, sometimes, you know, some of these houses, you know, they'd spend 1,000 years collecting and organizing, and they've got portraits of grandparents that are, you know, 600 years old on the wall. They want to show this off to people. They want people to say, oh, look at how pretty it is. Look at what a good job you've done.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was part of the housekeeper's job, was to make sure that the house stayed presentable for tours.
Because, like, I don't know, maybe I just don't know that much about history, I guess, but I was like, oh, that's kind of weird, right? Like, so then this is the point where she's like, Elizabeth's starting to feel a little sad that she rejected the proposal because she absolutely loves the house. And then they say, after saying that Darcy's not going to arrive all summer, they say that Darcy's supposed to arrive at the house tomorrow with some friends, and that Miss Darcy is going to be coming with them. So she's like, okay, well, at least we came today, so I won't see him.
Oops.
The housekeeper thinks super highly of both the Darcys, which I thought was really nice, because I think the fact that they treat the people who work for them well shows a lot about their character.
Yes.
So, and it sounds like this is where the housekeeper kind of talks about how good of a brother Darcy is and how he absolutely spoils his little sister, which I thought was super cute. Elizabeth is starting to warm to Darcy more. And at this point, I wasn't calling it love. I don't think that she was in love with him yet. I think she just doesn't hate him. So then I was like, in my notes, it just says, Darcy showed up with an exclamation mark. And he immediately comes up and greets them after being in complete shock by spying them from like across the field. He's like, oh, there's people in my house. Oh, it's Elizabeth.
Now, you've seen the 2005 movie.
Mm-hmm.
Did you watch, and I'm assuming this isn't no, but did you watch the BBC miniseries?
No, not yet.
Have you, even though you have not watched the BBC miniseries, have you seen the coming out of the lake scene?
No.
It is probably one of the most famous scenes in cinematic history, and it is what made Colin Firth, because Colin Firth played Darcy in the miniseries.
I saw that.
Yeah. So in the miniseries, the way they see each other is he is coming home all by himself, you know, and he comes up to a little lake on the property, and he's like, it's hot, I'm by myself, nobody's here, whatever. So he strips down to his underthings and jumps in the water. Now, remember, the underthings at that point in time were still, you know, longish pants, and he's got his breeks on, and he's got, but just the white shirt that, you know, they don't have buttons or anything. So the white shirt is open a good chunk of the way, so you can see some skin. And so he jumps into the water. We see him swimming for a little bit. She's walking around the property, and as he's coming out of the water, still wet, is when they run into each other.
Hold on. Okay, we're pausing. I have to look this up so that we can talk about it right now. Hold on.
Yes.
Let me just pull it up. Oh, this handsome man.
Has changed his career. I mean, everything he's done from this point on has been to try to not be typecast as Darcy.
But he's so beautiful.
But then he's actually played Darcy twice. If you want to think about, he did it in this, and then he did it in Bridget Jones' Diary.
Oh, really?
Have you not seen Bridget Jones' Diary?
No.
It's a modern retake on Pride and Prejudice.
Oh,
And
I'm going to have to watch it.
He plays Darcy in that one, too. Okay, well, now that when you're done watching that, I have to talk to you about another one then that you'll enjoy just as much.
I got to the point where they got awkward, so we're good. I've experienced it. I appreciate it.
Okay.
I had to know.
There is another BBC miniseries based off of a Pride and Prejudice retelling or sequel. That book is called Lost in Austen. And what happens in that book is a modern day woman who is obsessed with Pride and Prejudice, me, goes through a portal in a bathroom and ends up inside Pride and Prejudice as Elizabeth. Elizabeth switches with her and ends up in modern day London or New York or wherever it is. And so there's a BBC miniseries based off of, it's such a good book, based off of that book. But they recreate the water scene for the BBC miniseries in like a different fashion. But that one is even better because the guy that plays Darcy is super cute. And we actually see him rise from the water and his shirt is all see-through and you can see all his abs through the water. And
that's what I need in my life.
I think if I remember correctly, because it's been a long time since I've seen but I think she actually asks him because she's obsessed with, she's seen everything. So I think she actually asks him to jump into the lake and then to come back out so she can recreate the scene from the original BBC miniseries.
I need that. I need to see that. That's so funny.
So I hope you weren't planning on leaving Pride and Prejudice universe anytime soon because it's going to take you. It's going to take you a good 6 weeks to get through all this, depending on how quickly you read.
Yeah, honestly. Oh, okay, so back to the book. I get so distracted because there's so many good side versions of this.
Yes, there is.
So Elizabeth is immediately regretting coming as soon as he's left. And she's starting to wonder what he thinks of her and if he still likes her. And this is the point where I was like, oh, yes, she's starting to catch feelings. So as they're walking through the woods, Darcy comes back out to meet them again. And Elizabeth introduces Darcy to her aunt and uncle. And he stays and walks with them and offers her uncle to come and fish as much as he wishes. So Elizabeth tells Darcy that she was told he would not be there. Darcy asks if he can introduce his sister to her. And I was like, yes, it's love. It's love. Elizabeth says she'll meet his sister and she thinks that Darcy is probably trying to set her up or something. So Elizabeth is now leaving with her aunt and uncle, and they are talking about how much they like Darcy. And this is the point where Elizabeth's aunt is like, ooh, do you like Darcy, don't you? And she's like, no, I just think he's okay. And she's like,
Well, and I mean, as they made it very clear, I'm sure the master of the house coming out to greet people that are touring is not something that's heard of. You know, that's not his job. He cares nothing about it, you know. So just the fact that he came running back out of the house, he switches clothes and everything because he's like a hot mess. He's been riding, he's covered in dirt. So he runs into the house, says, oh my God, people. He's yelling at the housekeeper. He's like, you know, what did they do? What did they say? How did you treat them? Did you offer them this? Did you offer them that? At the same time, his butler's stripping him down, changing his clothes, putting him back on, making sure he looks okay. And he's back out of that house 15 minutes later, chasing them down the walkway. You know, that alone, they're looking at Mr. Darcy like something fishy's going on here, because even the fact that Darcy even looked in their direction is setting off all sorts of warning bells. That just was not done in that time and age. It was so improper for him to come up to them like that. Yeah. So.
I'm now imagining that Darcy was like doing that thing where you run until you're like close enough, and then he starts walking casually like he wasn't running, and he's like, nah, nah, nah.
Oh, absolutely. That is, that's why I had to happen, because look at how big that property is.
Yeah.
Okay, not just in the movie, in the book. For him, the driveway is like 6 miles. So for him to get from inside his house to where they were trying to get back into their carriage, dude had to haul ass. And then as soon as he got close enough, he dropped down and had to regulate his breathing so it didn't look like he was huffing and puffing to catch up to them.
He's like, just bring a horse, bring it, make it meet me at the door. I will ride. I'm going to sprint that horse, we'll get there. And then he gets off the horse and he's like, I just casually walked back,
Exactly. Yeah. So warning bells were going off in the ant's head for show.
Yeah, it had to have been like 15 minutes that he was gone, because they didn't make it very far.
Nope. It's awesome.
So Elizabeth fills them in on what she heard from Darcy without actually telling them what he said, because they were really in support of Wickham. Seems like everybody was. And yeah, so she didn't like tell them the whole story, but like enough for them to be like, ooh, wait a diddly darn minute. So chapter 44. Darcy is bringing his sister over to meet Elizabeth, which I was like, yes, cute. We'd love to see it. And Elizabeth is nervous. It seems like she's starting to question if she really likes Darcy at this point. And Miss Darcy is like really shy and just as nervous as Elizabeth. And they make mention that like most people think of Miss Darcy as like being kind of stuck up because she's so nervous and she doesn't really like to talk. But Elizabeth's aunt and uncle are just kind of like, oh, she's just shy, she's nervous, which I thought shows a lot about their characters, because they don't frown upon her for being shy. They're just like, oh, she must be shy.
Yep.
Like, they don't seem like they want to think bad of someone they don't really know, which I thought was nice.
And also, I want to point out again how strange it is that he brought his sister to her.
Yeah.
Okay. They were expecting a request to come to. She's a high-bred lady. She's the highest ranked female in this parish. The fact that the very first day they arrived, she showed up to meet Elizabeth is 100% out of, that's not the way things should have been done at all.
Yeah.
They should have gotten the invitation to come and wait on her. And the fact that Darcy brought them that quickly right away is something else that is setting off all sorts of warning bells for the aunt and uncle that says, this dude is mad in love with our niece.
Yeah.
Because, it shouldn't have been like that in that time and age. For Darcy to come to Elizabeth instead of Elizabeth coming to her was way out of the ranking.
I know. I'm just imagining her aunt being like, so why'd that happen? Elizabeth is like, oh, casual, just a thing he likes to do. Not specifically to me, but like, don't read too much into it.
He's always breaking protocol like that. Always.
Literally, though. So, Elizabeth's aunt and uncle can tell that Darcy is absolutely in love with Elizabeth. Elizabeth notices that, I guess Bingley's there now, and Elizabeth notices that Bingley does not seem to have any feelings for Miss Darcy, which makes Elizabeth pretty happy, because she's like, okay, there's still a chance.
Yep.
So Elizabeth is noticing that Darcy's manners are drastically better, and wondering if it's just Elizabeth that caused him to change his mind, or if it's something else. And I'm like, it's just you. It's just you. So the Darcys invited Elizabeth and her family to join them for dinner, and they immediately agree. And Elizabeth's starting to decide how she feels about Darcy. She's not really sure, but I'm like, you're in love. So Elizabeth really appreciates that he seems to be willing to forgive that she looked down on him, and she's starting to think that he definitely still likes her. Her uncle is also decides to go fishing at Darcy's that morning, so they're all starting to bond and have a good time.
Woo-hoo.
I know, I love it. So chapter 45. Elizabeth thinks that Miss Bingley's dislike of Elizabeth started to originate in jealousy, and I was like, that's a fact.
Yes.
And Elizabeth is back now for dinner at Pemberley with her aunt, and they are greeted by all the ladies. None of the boys are back from fishing yet. Miss Darcy is incredibly shy, and I kind of felt bad because she seems really nice, but she just doesn't really talk at all during the dinner. And they're all eating, and the boys haven't showed up yet, and Elizabeth is starting to wonder what's taking them so long. Darcy walks in, and as soon as he does, everybody in the party watches him in suspicion to see how he reacts to Elizabeth, which I thought was so funny because everyone's like, instead of like just being like, "Oh, hey, Darcy," they're like, "How's he gonna react? How's he?"
Because everybody knows that he's in love with her.
I know,
and he knows it too. He's not even trying to hide it anymore.
I know, and Elizabeth's like, "I am unsure," and I'm like, "It's certain. It's a certainty. He loves you."
I'm so glad we're past that. Oh, I was gonna say I'm so glad we're past that point where people could be honest with their feelings, but I guess we're really not past that point. We should be past that point.
I know, and now everyone still doesn't want to say how they feel. So Miss Bingley is so incredibly jealous that she keeps trying to draw Elizabeth's attention away as if that's going to help the situation. I'm like, what is that trying to prove? But it's fine. So Miss Bingley tries to covertly ask about Wickham, and Elizabeth responds without any real emotion and glances at Darcy, which seems to make Darcy incredibly happy.
Heck yeah, it does.
Like, I don't think she understands, like, Miss Bingley Caroline understands that this is completely backfiring on her.
And the more she's trying to make Elizabeth look bad, but the more she tries to make Elizabeth look bad, the more Darcy looks down on her for being disrespectful and stuff, for being rude.
True. Like, try to have a better personality and it might help you in your favor.
Not.
So Miss Bingley tries to talk trash about to Miss Darcy about Elizabeth, and Miss Darcy's not into it because she really likes Elizabeth, which makes me happy because at least Elizabeth gets a sister-in-law that she likes.
And you know that he had to have. I wish I could know how much he's talked about her to his sister. For his sister to be so worked up over seeing her already. I mean, does she know the whole story? Does she know he's already proposed? Or,
I'm
what's
imagining
going on?
She does, because I'm imagining they're pretty close. And then I'm also thinking that, like, every time he sits down to read a book, he's like, Elizabeth would like this book. And Caroline's just like, I bet she would. I'm imagining it's something like that, where every time he does something, he's like, Elizabeth would enjoy this.
Probably.
Yeah. So, Miss Bingley then goes on to talk about how ugly Elizabeth is, and Darcy says that he thinks she's beautiful and leaves the room, and I was like, yes.
It's like a drop the mic sort of moment.
I know. He's like, he's not going to stand for it because Caroline is just so hateful. And he's like, I'm not interested in this conversation. I'm just going to leave.
Peace out.
When you say peace out, my brain goes, A-town.
I know.
So, chapter 46, Lydia went off to Scotland with Wickham, and this is where everything hits the fan. So now, apparently, no one can find Lydia. They're thinking that he has no intention of marrying Lydia, and the Colonel thinks that he's not to be trusted. So Jane wants Lydia to, not Lydia, I wrote that wrong. Jane wants Elizabeth to come home as soon as possible. And Elizabeth freaks out and runs to find her uncle. And then when she runs to the door, Darcy is standing there. I was like, yes. I thought this was going to be proposal time too, to be honest. But I was like, not the time, but also I'd love to see it. So Elizabeth bursts into tears, and Darcy is immediately worried and trying to see what he can do. And I'm just imagining he opens the door and she's crying, and he's just like, hey.
See, he probably wants to hug her and help her, and he feels like he can't. Yeah.
So Elizabeth tells Darcy what happened, and he seems to feel really bad for her. He ends up going away after comforting her for a minute. And in my head, I was like, I thought he was going to say, I'll go find him, all that kind of stuff. But he doesn't say any of that. He just does it behind her back, which I don't know if I like that better, but I still like that he did it.
Well, it's one of those totally breaking the ranks. That's so improper for him to put himself in her family business.
Yeah.
So that's why he can't tell anybody. I think if he could have managed to make her go home without letting the gardeners know, then no one would have known that Darcy was involved in it. But because he couldn't, he had to have somebody to help him deal with them.
Yeah.
It's so out of his place. He should not be there at all.
True. So Elizabeth's aunt and uncle come back, and she told them what happened, and now they all immediately like pack up their stuff and leave. So chapter 47, everyone is trying to figure out why he wants to marry Lydia when she has absolutely no money, which is something I didn't understand either. Like, because he didn't seem to think she was pretty, he didn't really like her, and she doesn't have any money. So I couldn't figure out why he was trying to even marry Lydia in the first place. Like, he wasn't trying to marry her, but trying to run away with her in the first place.
Because he's got nothing better to do. They're obviously doing it. I mean, there's no doubt about that. So he's already taken her virginity.
Yeah.
Let's just hope he's the one that took it.
Yeah.
So he's got somebody who thinks the world of him. So it's kind of like Lady Catherine. She wants people around her that tell her how awesome she is.
Yeah.
So he's got someone around him that tells him how awesome he is. He can have sex with her whenever he wants, so he doesn't have to go out trolling for it. And so why not bring her along when he goes to run? But there was no way he was ever planning on marrying her.
He's such a dirtbag.
Yeah, he is.
And I also hate Lydia, so. But she is like, I have to say that she is a child, so it's not like, she's still at that age where she could have had fun and, enjoyed balls and let men flirt with her. So
Well, in this day and age, he'd be arrested for kidnapping.
Yeah, true. 'Cause she is literally a minor.
She may have run away with him, but willingly. But in this day and age, he'd be in jail for kidnapping and rape, not being forced to marry her.
Yeah. Because it's like, I know that at the age of like 16, it's not that you necessarily don't understand the world, but I mean it more so like she was still trying to have fun and she was young, and this guy convinces her, hey, if you run away with me, we'll get married. And she's like, all right.
Sounds like a plan to me.
Yeah. So this is the point where everyone's starting to realize that they think Lydia might be living with him outside of marriage, which means that they are doing the dirty.
Yes, ma'am.
So Elizabeth's back home, and her dad is already in London looking for Lydia. And I'm just trying to imagine what, quote, looking for Lydia is. Like, are they going to everyone's door and banging on it and be like, open up, let me see? Or like how?
They're the unseedy places, going to bars and stuff or taverns. But also they send out cards. So have you've heard the phrase "send my card around"? No. So in that day and age, to let people know you were back in town, because you had a country house and a townhouse. So to let people know you were back in town, you literally sent out like a business card to all the neighboring houses of all of the society that you wanted to hang out with, and let them know that you were in town. Or you'd get a card in return that says, I'm so happy to see you, let's arrange lunch. Can you come to my house this time? They communicated via these little cards because they don't have cell phones or anything like that. So when they're looking for Lydia, they're probably sending their cards around to all of their contacts, and their contacts are sending their cards around, and their contacts are sending their cards around looking for Lydia. But at the same time, they can't, trying to keep it from as little public knowledge as well, because it's going to ruin the entire family if it gets out that Lydia is living unmarried with a man. And so they're probably sending their cards around looking for somebody who could tell them where Lydia is.
Yeah. Yikes. So everyone's getting really nervous because there's been absolutely no marriage announcement, because they thought, she'll send one when it happens, but there hasn't been one. And their mother is blaming the Colonel's family that Lydia was staying with for ever letting Lydia out of their sight. But it's not their fault. But I think Miss Bennet just likes having someone to blame. Or Mrs. Bennet.
Though it is partially their fault.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you also can't control a girl as that much, you know, like you can't have an eye on them constantly. But
but
I don't know.
in that day and age, you could.
I guess, you know, to
I mean,
me,
a good part of it's Lydia's mom's fault. I mean, it's
yeah,
Mrs. Bennet's fault for letting her grow up to be that wild.
yeah.
But if they'd had proper, if they had proper eyes on her, then it wouldn't have happened.
Like, did they not have, because, you know, I know I had to read Gone with the Wind. Not had to, but I read Gone with the Wind. And, they always had to have a chaperone. Like, they didn't, the girls didn't seem to ever have to have chaperones.
No, and that's part of the problem because if you notice the upper class ladies, like Mrs. Darcy and the Catherine's daughter, the cousin, they do always have chaperones.
Okay.
They're anytime they're walking in the park or whatever, they have their companion with them.
Yeah.
So that's where that governess would have come into play.
Okay.
They would have always had chaperones. They would not have ever been by themselves.
So I'm guessing that's also why Lady Catherine looked down on them, because these girls technically had no chaperone with them. So,
I mean, they were run wild. Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't ever see Mrs. Bingley by herself, do you? Miss Bingley?
That's true.
She had her married sister with her anywhere she went,
and her
brother. But like when it was just when they were like doing calls and stuff, she had the sister with her. And as a married woman, she's considered an appropriate chaperone.
It's wild to me that's like we're like, oh, you know, that's so bad that she didn't have that, and it's like I can't imagine having to have a chaperone with me at all times.
Yep. She should have.
So Mrs. Bennet says that she's going to make them marry and make sure that Mr. Bennet does not fight Wickham. So I'm like, yeah, okay. In Lydia's note that she left to the Colonel, she says that she's in love with Wickham and that they do not need to tell their family because, quote, it'll be funny when she signs her name Lydia Wickham, unquote.
She's so stupid.
I'm like, yeah, it'll be quite funny having your entire family nervous and panicking for no reason.
Yeah, she's just so stupid.
Yeah. Chapter 48. Everyone in town hates Wickham now, and he's in debt to everyone. Like, I think no one wanted to talk about it when he first started racking up debt, because, you know, a lot of the families liked him, and they're like, oh, it's just us. But now it seems like everyone's talking about it, and everyone's realizing, oh, you all experience the same thing.
Yep.
So, their uncle has joined the father in London to look for Lydia, but they're not having too much success currently. So Collins wrote a letter to Mr. Bennet that literally says, "The death of your daughter would have been a blessing in comparison of this." And I'm like, first of all, that's terrible. Second of all, read the room. And then he also says that he's thankful that he didn't marry Elizabeth so that he has not caught up in this, plus tells him to disown Lydia. And I'm like, mind your business.
I know. He's just so high and mighty.
I know. He's horrendous. So Wickham left a lot of money in gambling debts in Brighton. And so they finally find him, and they haven't found him. So their father's coming home while their uncle continues the search for Lydia. And Elizabeth also hasn't gotten another letter from Pemberley since she's gotten home, and she's like, oh, this is sad. And I'm like, it's because he's helping you. Like, Mr. Bennet says no officer is to pass through their house ever again, that he has learned to be cautious. He also says that Kitty will not be allowed to go to balls unless she's with one of her sisters. Kitty and Lydia are basically the same person.
Yes.
So, chapter 49. The housekeeper just told Jane and Elizabeth that their father got an express letter from their uncle, so they ran to find out what it's about. Their uncles found Lydia and Wickham, and they're not married, and there's no intention of them ever doing so, but their uncle is making them, and they're saying that Lydia will get £5,000 when her parents die, plus £100 per year, which is like what they basically what Wickham demands, right? Oh no, did I mess it up?
It's £1,000 for each girl, 5,000 total.
Oh, okay. I don't. I know that's kind of a lot of money, but simultaneously also not that much, right?
No, not that much. But you think about Darcy gets 10,000 a year, and each girl will get 1,000 one time.
Okay. Yeah, so it's not that much. So they're starting to suspect that their uncle helped to pay off some of the debts because apparently Wickham is not asking that much to marry Lydia, which I always thought that like men had to pay to marry the women, but now it's like he's getting paid to marry Lydia.
No, women have their dowries. So even though men would normally give something to the fathers, women were coming with tons and tons. Like Georgiana Darcy, when she gets married, she gets £10,000.
Okay.
So that's why what's his face wanted to marry Georgiana, was because upon her marriage she inherits 10,000 pounds.
Like a year or just one-time lump sum?
I think it's just the one-time lump sum, but because she is still a Darcy, you know, she still is able to draw support from that community.
True. So Mrs. Bennet is now incredibly happy because she has a major mood shift, and now that Lydia's getting married, and can't wait to see Wickham. I hate her.
Yeah, she's just whatever. She is what she is.
Yeah, it's so annoying though. So chapter 50. Mr. Bennet is still not too happy about this wedding and refuses to pay for the wedding clothes. And Mrs. Bennet is like, what?
I know. All she cares about now is that Lydia looks pretty.
I know. And it's like, you were just like swearing off your daughter 5 minutes ago, but whatever. So Elizabeth admits to herself that if Darcy proposed right now, she would accept. And I'm like, yes. So Wickham is quitting the militia and is going to go back into the army, which means that they have to move north, which Mrs. Bennet is not very happy about. And Mr. Bennet is going to allow them to visit once they've been married, but only once they've been married.
Yep.
Which I thought was like a big step for him, because I know he didn't really want to. But
well, now that Lydia, he's not the typical father, so a lot of fathers wouldn't have let Lydia back in the house, just like Colin said. But now that she's married, I think he enjoys like making fun of them. So
True.
He wants them in the house just to keep his wife quiet, and two, just to see what all the hubbub is about.
True. So chapter 51, Lydia and Wickham's wedding happened, which no one in the family went to. Is that strange? Except the uncle and aunt, I guess.
It's strange because if it were done properly, if she had gotten married in a traditional way, then it would have been very strange. But because of the fact that they had been living together in sin and they had run away, it's not uncommon at all. They wouldn't want the girls exposed to them until they were married.
Okay. So Mr. Bennet is not too happy to be there while their mom is overjoyed and wishes them happiness. And then Mr. Bennet hardly even speaks when he greets them. Lydia brings up that it's literally only been 3 months since she went away and now she's married, which, again, read the room because no one's happy about this. And she's like, I can't believe I'm so lucky.
I'm the first one married.
And I'm like, ugh.
She's so stupid.
Elizabeth got so fed up with listening to Lydia that she walked out of the room, which I could relate to because I've definitely done that. Lydia is boasting about being married to anyone that will listen, and she says that she's sure her sisters envy her. And I'm like, no one envies you at all. Like, you married a man that doesn't even love you. Lydia is recounting her wedding day to Elizabeth, who really does not care, and she says that she's mad she wasn't able to go out to parties once her aunt and uncle had found her. Your face right now is my exact face when I read it.
I want the whole time I'm reading this part, and I'm like, just say your piece and be done. Leave with your husband so we don't have to deal with you anymore.
Yeah. So Darcy was at Lydia's wedding, and Darcy told them to keep it a secret, but Lydia spilled it anyways. Unsurprising.
Of course.
Because Lydia cannot keep a secret. Elizabeth wrote a letter to her aunt to figure out what happened. And then we're on to chapter 52. So Elizabeth got a huge letter back from her aunt. And she's like, yes, because you had to spill everything in this letter because it's so thick. So her aunt tells her that Darcy actually found Wickham first and told her aunt and uncle where they were. And then Wickham confessed to Darcy that he didn't plan on marrying Lydia because he wanted to find someone more well off than her. Because he's a trash bag. And then it sounded like Darcy gave him some money, and from the sounds of it, their uncle didn't really contribute, even though he wanted to. Darcy took care of everything because he's a hero. And then the aunt also says that she is absolutely super annoyed with Lydia. And her aunt says that she really likes Darcy. And Elizabeth is regretting every mean thing she's ever said to Darcy. Yeah.
So did you catch what else that the aunts didn't say it outright, but she hinted too greatly?
That she thinks, no, maybe not. That she thinks Elizabeth and Darcy like each other, or?
Well, no, she says, I thought you already knew this. I thought Darcy would have told you.
Oh.
So this whole time this is going on, they thought Elizabeth already knew.
Oh, she thought like Elizabeth helped orchestrate this?
Yeah, they assumed that, because what other reason would there be for this strange man to be all up in their family's business?
True.
If not because of Elizabeth. So this whole time this was going on, even though Darcy took pains not to mention Elizabeth's name, they thought that's why she's like, I was so shocked to get your letter. We assumed you knew. Yeah. Because he did all this for Elizabeth. And so her aunt and uncle already assumed that they knew that Elizabeth knew everything that was going on.
True. And
because he's in love with her.
I know. I didn't catch that part for some reason, to be honest.
What chapter is it?
It's chapter 52.
Yeah. She says, I have just received your letter and shall devote this whole morning to answering it, as I foresee that a little writing will not compromise what I have to tell you. I must confess myself surprised by your application. I did not expect it from you. Do not think me angry, however, for I only mean to let you know that I had not imagined such inquiries to be necessary on your side. If you choose to not understand me, forgive my impertinence. Your uncle is as much surprised as I am, and nothing but the belief of your being a party concerned would have allowed him to act as he has done. But if you are really innocent and ignorant, I must be more explicit. So they're saying he did this because he's in love with you. We all know that. If you don't know that, it's time for you to get the picture. Open your eyes.
I did not realize
on the page.
That. Oh my gosh.
So, I mean, her aunt is basically telling her face to face or paper to paper, this all happened because this man is in love with you. And since you apparently don't realize that, it's time to get with the program, sweetheart.
Oh my gosh. I love her aunt and uncle so much. I did not realize that. That's so funny. And then Wickham sits down by Elizabeth, and he is still low-key talking trash about the Darcy family. What a dirtbag after he knows that they just helped him.
It's just whatever.
So trash. Like, they just did everything for him, and he's like, oh, but they're still the worst. And I'm like, no, they're not.
You see, but in his mind, he never would have had to marry Lydia if Darcy hadn't just done what he wanted Darcy to do all that time ago. He thinks that Darcy should just be supporting him outright.
Such a dirtbag. But yeah, that's all that we're going to cover for this episode. Thank you so much for joining me, Amanda. Where can all the people find you?
Oh, yes. So you can find me at amandafaybooks.com. I am on Facebook at facebook.com/AmandaFayeBooks. You can find my profile. It's author Amanda Faye. And you can find me on Amazon, Amanda Faye Books. My 10th book is released next week.
No, so exciting. Well, by the time that this gets posted, it will have already been released.
Well, my 10th book then it has just been released.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah, thank you so much for joining me. I will catch you all in the next episode. Bye.
Bye.
I hope you all enjoyed this episode of the Barely Bookish podcast. It's so much fun reading these, and I'm really just enjoying getting through Pride and Prejudice. If you all want to find me anywhere, I am at Barely Bookish on basically everything. I do have even a TikTok account, which I've been talking a lot about from Blood and Ash recently, so you can enjoy that. As I mentioned in the beginning, if you want to join the Barely Book Club, we are on Discord, and you can find it by going to barelybookish.com/connect, and it's a lot of fun. My logo was designed by my wonderful little sister Sarah. Our theme song is from freepd.com by Raphael Crux. It's called Video Game Blockbuster. And that's all I have for you. I will catch you all in the next one. Bye!